Welcome to the Painter Growth Podcast, where we help you scale your painting company in record time. Join us as we explore sales, marketing, hiring, finances, leadership, and more, everything that you need to know to scale and grow your painting business. I hope you enjoy and subscribe.
What is up, everybody? Mike Gore-Hickman here, founder of paintergrowth.com, and you're listening to the Painter Growth Podcast. I am joined by my friend Brandon Pierpont of Painter Marketing Pros. I've known Brandon for a few years through the PCA. You're on the board of the PCA, I believe.
Not on the board, on quite a few committees.
There we go. That's awesome. Giving back to the community and crushing it with franchises, with owner-operators, with big businesses, small businesses. Stoked to finally get you on here after so many years.
I appreciate you having me, Mike. Thanks, man.
Yeah. So I guess I'm dying to know, because I don't know your origin story, where you kind of came from. How did you end up in the painting industry?
Yeah, it's a quite the niche. So my background was, I'd say, maybe a little bit more traditional, a little bit more professional. So I went to Notre Dame, majored in finance, was going the kind of that finance Wolf of Wall Street kind of way. Did investment banking for 3 years in tech and telecom, moved into private equity, did that for 2 years. So buying companies, improving them, selling them in a leveraged buyout space. Was going to go to business school, get the MBA, and then potentially go to a hedge fund or private equity firm after that, and was done. So decided this route is not for me. Don't like it. And so I ended up attempting to start a software company. Didn't know a whole lot about software back then. It was quite a while ago. So that didn't work out very well. Ended up teaching the GMAT. So I had been fortunate enough. I studied really hard that I scored in the top 1% for the GMAT. So I was able to get a pretty lucrative position for a company that, advertises, hey, we only take top 1%. Did that part-time, moved to Costa Rica, learned Spanish, kind of had that portion of my life. Moved back, became CFO of a software company. So wasn't mine, but I got to run finance for it for a while. And then ultimately still wanted to start something. So I had paralysis by analysis. Every idea I had, I'd say, well, people are already doing it, which is an incredibly stupid, naive mindset, but it's what I had, or I'm not particularly adept or qualified to succeed in this market versus other people, so I don't want to do it. And then my wife was getting pretty frustrated. And she said, do you think you could figure out how to detail a car? I said, probably. I've washed cars. I've hadn't extensively detailed them at that time. Didn't know a tremendous amount about that, but I said, I could probably figure it out. So she said, why don't you just start a detailing company? I said, great. I went in, again, naively optimistic. I felt that because I had finance experience, because I had operational experience, that I would just automatically do great as an entrepreneur. And I did not automatically do great. I realized that if you can't market, if you can't generate leads, if you don't know how to sell, it doesn't really matter if you kind of know what to do afterwards, if you can't actually get the lead flow and actually get the sales through the door to start. That's when I had to face the choice. Do I hire an agency? Do I partner with someone, or do I figure this out? And so I personally just selected to figure it out. It took a lot longer. It was a lot deeper, a lot harder than I expected it to be. Ended up falling in love with marketing, ended up scaling that detailing company. It wasn't anything major, but I was able to exit it. And then through that, transitioned into starting a generalist agency. By generalist, I mean industry agnostic. So we served painters, but also veterinarians and doctors, lawyers, and really any industry. It didn't matter.
And no one willing to pay you money for marketing.
Right. So website SEO, Facebook ads, if you'll pay money, we'll generate leads for you. And that's how most agencies run. And so I think probably your audience and the PCA audience, they probably have this false perception that a lot of agencies are specialized in one industry. It's actually pretty rare. And so the vast majority of agencies will just be generalist, and they're local agencies. They tend to work with, people in the area, which is what we did for a while. And then I realized this is hyper unproductive, because how you market a lawyer and how you market a painting company, those things couldn't really be much different in terms of the offer that you're going to make, in terms of the lead source that's going to be the best, in terms of how you're going to actually qualify and warm up that lead.
It's actually funny, because I did that exact same thing. After I exited my painting business, a few years later, I started my side hustle, which was a generalist marketing company, except the niche that I picked was just like local businesses. So like my city, local to that, performance marketing. When I had like, yeah, I think an e-com clothing supplier. I had like a guy who does like renovations and like a radon mitigator and a pest control and like all these, and no idea which way was up. It's very challenging to keep track of all those different industries.
It is. Yeah. So we figured out that if we can narrow the niche, then we can go much deeper. We can make our company run more efficiently. So we're able to scale. We can serve at a greater level because we understand the industry much more. We can offer more holistic suite of services that go beyond just the marketing, that can potentially move into the sales aspect and some other aspects. And then we enjoyed working with painters. It was a fairly underserved niche. I enjoyed interacting with the owners more than, lawyers. I don't enjoy interacting with certain people in that space. I always had a good experience with painters. And it was underserved, and we just did well at it. So Painter Marketing Pros was born a little over 5 years ago. We have since worked with coming on 400 painting companies across the US and Canada. We've generated over a quarter billion in revenue. So with a B, so 250 million of leads that transitioned into revenue for painting sales. So it's been a cool journey, and I'm glad that we don't have to relearn every single time we bring on a new partner.
Yeah, quite the journey. It sounds like you had like 3 different midlife crises
Lives.
in there.
They're all just stacked, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Costa Rica one was pretty obvious.
Yeah. I'm learning Spanish right now, but I did not move to Costa Rica to do that. I'm choosing to do it on Duolingo, so my vacations
Duolingo's great.
Yeah, it is.
I gave at the PCA Espanol conference 2 years ago. I presented in Spanish.
Yeah.
I felt it didn't go well. Everyone told me how great it went, and then they never invited me back. I think I was right.
I told Nick that I'd like to, in maybe 2 years, I want to present at this PCA in Espanol.
Dude, that's a good goal.
Really go out of my comfort zone, but that'd be awesome. Such an amazing part of important part of the painting market in the country. So, so you did that. You went through all those ups and downs. You decided to focus on the painting. I know now you do a lot of different things. You do Facebook and website and SEO and Google and email and kind of like full stack marketing. How did you start Painter Marketing Pros? What were the first services that you decided to offer that you found got the biggest lift?
Yeah, so it was actually opposite how a lot of the agencies start. We focus on website and SEO initially. So for me, it's always been a long-term ROI focused approach. My background in finance, I like numbers a lot. I like, understanding the profitability of your strategy a lot, much more so than I do hype or number of leads generated or anything like that. So for me, the website, the SEO, owning Google, those are the highest quality leads that you can generate, second to repeat referral. And so I leaned into that heavy. And then we really started layering on the paid ads in a major way starting in year 2.
Yeah, that makes sense. So now when you bring on a new painting contractor to come work for you, what is the order of operations? Say someone comes in and like, hey, Brandon, I want to grow. I want you to take care of my marketing. What is the order of operations that you take someone through and expectations along the way?
What a cool question. It really depends on the size of the company, right? So we have a few different programs. Our holistic program, we're going to run the website, the paid ads, and we're going to essentially do it all at the same time. For me, a lot of times we'll work with companies maybe in that $500,000 to $1 million range. At that point, paid ads is going to be the primary focus because you need your ROI to happen a little bit faster. You can't necessarily invest into SEO and these long tail strategies that maybe aren't going to have a big turnaround for you for at least 6 to 12 months. So the paid ads, getting the lead flow in, refining the sales process so you're not wasting the leads, getting a repeat referral. We do a quarterly marketing. I'll call it a marketing campaign. In marketing jargon, it'd be database reactivation. So reaching out to your past leads, your past list through text, email, things like that. So getting good at monetizing the leads that you already have and that you're going to generate through Painter Marketing Pros. And so we get all that going. And then ultimately we like to upgrade our partners over time when their marketing is sustainable and profitable through the paid ads to now moving into a website, SEO, and then building what I would define as really an asset that could either be transferred to their kids if they wanted to do something like that, could be sold, something that actually has value.
Yeah. So initially to distill that down, initially starting with the paid ads, paid acquisition, which I mean, doesn't have lasting value. It's just you pay $1, you hopefully get $3 to $5, and that's that. And then
You have to get at least 10. That's what the
10.
whole market says. If you don't get 10, which we could, I could go, you and I could talk about that for probably 4 hours, but
Sure.
it's a joke.
Yeah,
three
10.
to 5 would be good if you do it right.
Do you, on that 10x, do you include management fee or just ad spend typically?
No, I mean, I was making a joke about the 10x. So I think when you're looking at the ROI, I think 10x is a super lazy metric, and just say, well, I read in a Facebook group that if I put in $100, I need $1,000 or I'm getting ripped off, right? You have to actually know what the profitability of your projects is. You have to account for if you're selling your estimator, if you're paying your estimator, not just commission, which I think they should be just commission if you have enough leads, but if you're paying them some sort of base salary and they're going out and they're bidding jobs that they're not landing, you have to account for that. If you're paying for gas or other opportunity costs, if you're paying a management fee, you have to account for that. But at the end of the day, are you making money on your marketing or are you not? And I think the one thing that with the paid ads, where I think you are creating sustainable value, is you're adding to that list. And so when you market effectively back to that list through the email and the text marketing, and you're essentially keeping in contact, potentially creating a maintenance plan, things like that, recurring revenue, then you can really, create this ecosystem and this value, but you're not creating an asset in the sense that you own Google, which if you do the website and everything, that's really attractive to a buyer.
Yeah. Have you seen those, like, kind of a sidestep, those people who just like build a generic website, the best painting company in Oklahoma,
build and rent.
Yeah. And then you can, like, the leads that come in, they either sell them or have someone rent the domain and get all of the leads from it and just focus on ranking that. What's that strategy called?
Yeah, it's called different thing. I call it build and rent. So you basically would just kind of build these generic websites with, keyword, right? CincinnatiPainter.com, right? Something like that. Essentially build it to rank for all the different keywords that you'd want to rank for in Cincinnati, and then either have it be a pay-per lead, kind of like your own mini Angie, or ultimately say, hey, I have this website. You can go ahead and you could sell it. Usually they don't sell it. You can go ahead and rent it and you pay X amount per month. And now it's your site for now.
Yeah.
It used to be more prevalent than it is right now. I mean, SEO is changing at such a rapid clip that it's not as prevalent. I think it's an interesting strategy. I've entertained the idea of doing it. I've not done it before. I like to work with partners on their branding and growth directly. And I think it's pretty impersonal. You can do redirects and things, but then you lose some of the SEO. And if you have just CincinnatiPainter.com, it's hard to build a brand around that unless unless maybe your painting company is called Cincinnati Painter.
Well, the reason why I just thought of it, I had a friend buy a tree removal company a couple of years ago. And with the purchase of that, they got like this generic page that got them like 50 leads a month organically during the summer.
Yeah.
So that was like part of the sale, but I could see how the value of that site might not be crazy to sell just standalone, but with the business, it made sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So you get people on, and then once they're doing the paid ads, they're getting return, or maybe if they're a little bit bigger, you want to jump into like this long-term, this whole concept of like building a business that's worth something for the owner. How do you look at that holistically? And what are some of the things that you can do, or a contractor listening to this can do to increase their, the value of their business?
Yeah, it's an awesome question. So I think there's a lot of confusion, misperception around how to actually value a business. And so I think we think if we're making money, then the business is valuable. But oftentimes what we have is a job, or it might be cash flowing nicely. So we're able to work at it and make potentially even more money than we would make working in a job. And we have more freedom, which is great. But would an acquirer want it? So an acquirer wants is something that they can buy, not have to go in and basically buy themselves a job, but they can buy an asset, a machine, essentially that can run without them, right? And so the way that you build something like that is you have a customer list that you prove that you can monetize. So, hey, we have 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 past customers or leads, and we run these campaigns at 4, 6, 8 times a year, and we consistently generate X amount of dollars through that. Okay, well that's a machine that I feel confident I can purchase, and I'll also get those number of leads right after I purchase it. That's transferable to me. If you have a website and that website's optimized effectively on Google, and you can show me a track record of generating X number of leads for a long period of time, then I feel confident that if you give me that website, I will also get those leads, right? Mm-hmm. So there are certain things. If it's this paid ad strategy and it's relatively new or it's variable, and you say you're going to sell me this business, well, that strategy might dry up, right? It might stop working, and now all of a sudden I bought something, but I don't actually get those leads. If you, as the owner, you're running the sales, you're running everything. Well, then if I buy it, all I'm doing is buying a job, and so it's not worth very much to me because I'm just buying myself an opportunity to go work. So I think the more you can automate it, make it an entity, make it something that runs without you, and the more you can have assets in the way of a website that generates leads, customer list that generates leads, something that I know is not going to go away tomorrow, that's more likely to stick when I buy it, the more attractive it is to me.
Yep. So there's two parts of it, I guess. One is like the assets that generate predictable amounts of leads and thereby revenue over time without the paid function. So organic, Google listing, websites, other, blogs or other assets you have on your online email list. And the other side of it would be the operational efficiency of the business, right?
Yeah.
I think there's one thing to have a business that has a great organic presence, but still requires the owner. So, and you need to have both to really think, have your business worth something.
Yeah. So Robert Kiyosaki, he gives a great definition of business ownership. So when you look at this definition, I've never been a business owner. I still want to be one day. He said that if you can walk away from your business for a year and you come back and it's bigger and better than when you left, now you own a business. It's a high bar.
I'm not a business owner.
I've never been one. I'd love to be one.
Yeah.
That would be neat.
Yeah.
You and I being on this podcast is almost indicative that we're not business.
Exactly. Right. It's like, you're, maybe I'm a business owner of Tesla or Google or whoever I have shares in.
Yeah.
So I can walk away from that for a year, but definitely not a founder business owner. So that's super interesting. So when we look online, there's various components that you mentioned there, right? There's email, there's SMS, there's websites and web assets. There's Google listing, Google search. Let's just dive into each one of those for a minute and talk about like their importance, their value, some tips and tricks that people could use to optimize those to just be a little bit better than where it is right now. So you want to start on like, where do you want to start out of all of those? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, you opened it up for me, Mike. I could go on for hours at that one, but I'll try to keep it pretty contained. So I'll start with just the Google business profile. I think that's low hanging fruit. So people can, business.google.com can set up your Google business profile. One thing I didn't mention with the assets, and you and I were speaking a little bit before this podcast, but would be reviews, right? And so none of this stuff is necessarily permanent because sometimes Google will, update their anti-spam filter and all of a sudden a bunch of your reviews that you have go away and you have to fight to get them back, right? But getting a bunch of reviews, if you have 300, 400, 500 5-star reviews, your business is more attractive to me than one that has 6.
You should
it's going to take me a long time.
You should take screenshots of all your reviews too. It's like a best practice.
100% great practice. Yeah, because you have to provide that proof to Google. So the generating reviews. So you can start, even if you're a brand new painting company, use Wix, use GoDaddy, use some sort of website builder, have a one-page website. So at least you have a professional site. Have business cards. So you can hand it to somebody. They can go to your website and they can see it. And then have a Google business profile where you can start getting reviews. So now you're going out and the idea of reviews is you want to further monetize your projects. So when you go out and you do a project, let's say through paid ads, that's what we've been talking about. Go out and you do a project. You don't want that to be the end of the value of that project. So you want to be able to get repeat business. You want to be able to get referrals. And then you want to have reviews online that are essentially like a digital referral in a way, right? Because people are going to look at it. It's like advertisement for your business. So setting up the Google business profile, filling out your information completely, and then just getting in the habit of consistently getting 5-star reviews from all of your projects. That's a huge piece there. The website for a brand new company, I'm saying just do a one-page website, because you can use one of these website builders. It's very affordable. You can do it yourself. They make it easy for that. Now you have a professional web presence.
Or you can spend $50 for some overseas contract to do it on Fiverr if you don't want to do it yourself.
Even smarter. Yeah, even smarter, right? And Wix it'll be a little bit more expensive, but Wix and companies like that will even introduce you to people who will create the template and put your content in there and build out the site for you. When you want to, I'll just, I guess, go into a website. So when you're actually bigger, and I don't really recommend even considering this until you're 500,000, right? Actually looking at building a full website, and then setting it up and actually starting to do what's called search engine optimization or SEO. That term is a dangerous term. A lot of companies will use it. They'll throw it around. Companies from India will email you. I get probably 20 emails a day about how companies are going to do SEO.
Oh yeah, and they'll say they're with Google.
Right? Yeah, I get a lot of that about the Google business profile. And they don't explicitly say they're with Google, but the script is so slick that even I think for a second that they're with Google until I remember how this works.
Yep.
It's wild. But yeah, building out a site, just high level, have a page for every primary service. So interior painting, exterior painting, cabinet refinishing, whatever. And then have a page for all I call them your primary service areas. So if you're in a major city, the surrounding suburbs, whatever people might be typing into Google. For me, I'm in St. Petersburg, Florida. So I would do St. Petersburg, Tampa, St. Pete Beach, Sarasota, these surrounding cities that I would want to rank for. I want to build a page for each of them. And now I at least have the pages to show to Google, because Google is essentially views each one of your pages on your website as its own kind of landing page. And so they're interconnected, and they're also separate. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. And they think if people find your website, they always end up on the homepage. They actually end up all over the website. So you want to build each page for really primary, one or two primary ranking keywords, and that's it. So that would be the website at a very, very, very high level. And then doing SEO, I'm not going to probably get into that. That'll probably go beyond the scope of this. What should we cover next?
So for these pages, should they just be like simple, like landing page with each specific like sub-region neighborhood kind of thing?
Yeah, the content becomes a little trickier. So you want to content is in the written copy on the page. You're going to want to have that probably be at least in the neighborhood of 1,000 words. A lot of sites might have 300, 500 words, and Google prefers
AI can help, but you want to like definitely modify it.
100%. Yeah, I like the idea of AI creating a skeleton outline. And so, hey, here's about, this is some information about our company. This is what I want to cover. Please create an outline, keeping in mind SEO best practices for Google, and then you actually write the content. Mm-hmm. Because if Google goes through and flags it all as AI content, it's really not going to help your rankings at all.
Yeah, it's getting pretty good at that.
It is. And then there's, SEO is a really deep topic, but having some images, if you get more technical, there's schema markup and some other stuff that you'd want to do on the site. But I think at a high level, you just want to have the pages to rank for the different searches that you want to rank for. For example, St. Petersburg Painter or St. Petersburg Painting Company would be one I'd want to rank for if I had a painting company right here. Or like and then you want to have
in St. Petersburg, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. And a lot of those too. So like if it's going to rank for St. Petersburg Painter, it's probably also going to rank somewhere for best painting company in St. Petersburg, because Google's smart enough to know that those searches are very related. Yeah. But it's not going to rank for painter in Tampa. It might not rank for exterior painting St. Petersburg. Those are going to be a bit more distinguished.
Yeah. Not quite as specific as you need to go if you're ever doing like Google Ads keywords. You don't need like that many pages, but you can have like categories.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's actually talk about that next. That's a good point. So there's Google Local Service Ads, or LSA. It's a Google guarantee, has a little check mark next to it. And that one's really tightly tied to your Google business profile. So you want to get a lot of reviews on your Google business profile. That's how you're actually going to start to show up for the LSA. You want to maximize your budget. So I think we have some partners that are $1 million a week. They're not spending $1 million a week.
No.
We notice when we jack up their budget to insane levels, they do get more leads.
For sure. And so what would be like the most that you've seen one contractor get charged for a week of LSAs? Like, is anyone getting to like $5,000 a month?
No, around 1,000.
Yeah.
That we've seen.
I've never seen. So just putting it at $1 million a week just to see, you're like,
yeah. And this would potentially scare people who haven't done this before. Yeah. If you're newer, you maybe don't have a ton of Google reviews, you've not run ads before, you're not going to spend $1,000 a week. No, you're not even going to spend that. Those are for people who have hundreds of reviews. They've been doing this for some time. They've been playing the game well. But then when you run those ads, you want to pick up the phone when that lead calls. If you don't pick up the phone, actually call them back. So Google can see Google's tracking your responsiveness. Make sure you get reviews, especially from the leads that come through your LSA, because Google wants to make sure they're providing a positive experience. Ultimately, the name of the game there is to get as many leads as you can. because it's a pay per lead. It's still relatively cheap for the fact that it's a Google lead, and then treat that lead really well and get a 5-star review.
Nice thing about the LSAs though is you can, if it's a bad lead, you can challenge Google on it because they record those calls and you get refunds.
Yeah, and Google's AI does a lot of that for you now, which is really helpful. But yeah, just the fact that it's pay per lead is great. And again, varying experience levels will be listening to this, but that's very different from Google pay per click, which is the traditional Google search ads, which is a pay per click.
Yeah.
So now it's if somebody actually clicks on your ad, you pay, regardless of if they even end up on your website or your landing page or wherever you're direct them, you pay anyways.
The onus of conversion to you as the advertiser, they just charge per click, and then do you have a good landing page, good conversion, good sales process.
Yeah. And I want to touch on what you said in terms of being far more specific. So this will, for somebody who doesn't know what Google Ads is, this is going to kind of fall on deaf ears. But for somebody who's maybe run Google Ads or has some more familiarity with it, you want to keep very tight campaigns. So you want to have a very tight, like exterior painter, St. Petersburg, and then you would want that to be linked to a page that's all about exterior painting in St. Petersburg. And you'd even ideally want your CRM, your messaging sequence, to actually be about exterior painting in St. Petersburg. And so you keep this, the tighter you keep that flow for that lead, the better your conversion ends up being, the more Google likes it. What a lot of companies will do is a lot of them will only run one campaign, but if they create multiple, let's say exterior painter, interior painter, painting company, let's say they make 3, they'll then take them all and they'll just dump them on the homepage of their website, which is wrong for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But the most blatantly obvious one would be that it's not tightly themed enough with what the keywords are that you're bidding on.
Okay. So that's some best practices for Google. What I want to do is I want to touch on Google My Business profile and then go into like email and SMS marketing. I think that'd be good, like finishing the holistic journey of marketing. So when it comes to like Google My Business profile, what are some red flags or some things that people shouldn't be doing that you see often? Anything like that? Maybe we start there.
Yeah. So I'll just talk about, I guess, some black hat tactics. I'll give an example of that. So with SEO, search engine optimization, technically you're gaming Google's algorithm. Like Google knows it. It's accepted as long as you're doing what's called white hat tactics. So you're following Google's terms of service. There are things that are gray hat tactics, which are kind of in between, and then black hat, which is where you're just clearly violating Google. So what some companies will do, let's say it's my wife's running a painting company in St. Petersburg. It's called Estate Painting. But let's say that she wanted a bunch of exterior painting jobs. She could go onto her Google business profile and she could change it from Estate Painting to Exterior Painter St. Petersburg Inc. Something like that. Not the name of her company. She would get more leads for exterior painting. Absolutely. But she would also eventually get suspended by Google. And then her Google business profile would be completely worthless. So once you get suspended, it's really challenging to build the value because you've lost a lot of trust with Google. So there are different things like that you can do. A more obvious or a more common example would be just not filling out the profile completely enough. So just a very short description, not filling out the services, not filling out the products. We at Painter Marketing Pros, we productize the services. So there are these different product cards on Google Business Profile, and the painting companies usually don't fill them out because they think they're service business only. But if you have an interior painting as a service, you can also add interior painting as a product. And then you can actually link from that product in Google Business Profile to your website, to your interior painting page. So playing Google's game, anytime they roll out a new feature on Google Business Profile, embrace the feature, fill it out. If there are different attributes, whatever, fill that stuff out because it's a game. You're leaning into Google's game and they'll reward you accordingly.
Got it. Basically, and this is what I've heard before, is like, if there's any feature that Google has, you want to use it because they reward you for using all of their features and just like maxing it out. Even
if you think it's stupid. I mean, for them, they have it there. They don't think it's stupid, or they're testing it and they want people to test it. So if you're becoming an advocate in a way of what Google is doing, and they are then going to be more of an advocate of what you are doing.
Because there's there's like picture posts and there's blog posts and there's like stories and updates and like all these different things you can do on Google My Business. Most people just ignore those. Like I would say most people don't update any of those things. Maybe throw some pictures on, but like the updates and the posts and the blog and the stories are.
No, that's a super good point. So for our programs, we do 2 to 3 posts a week. You don't have to do that many. So you should be doing at least one a week though.
Mm-hmm.
So at a minimum, you should be doing one a week. You should be uploading photos at least monthly, ideally weekly. So uploading new project photos. What a lot of companies will do is they might stack the photos in the beginning when they create their Google business profile, and then they just never upload anymore. And so you'll look at their GBP and their most recent upload was 3 years ago. Google doesn't like that. And people don't like that because people look at your project gallery, they see it's really dated, and you're not gaining a lot of trust when you do that.
For sure.
The way I kind of explain is view it almost like a social media profile.
Yeah.
So it's not a set it and forget it. View it. You don't put a bunch of posts on your Facebook and then just walk away and never post again. Think about Google Business Profile the same way.
Mm-hmm. I just took a note there for my own Google profile. I sent a message to my head of marketing. I'm like, we should be posting more. But yeah, I mean, either you have you do it, or if the owner or VA did it, if you and your team did it, it would take like 10 minutes twice a week, 20 minutes.
And we use a software called Social Pilot. It's a social media posting software at maybe $150 a month. And you can essentially schedule out a bunch of posts to your Facebook, Instagram, various platforms, Google Business Profile. And so you can sit down and time block rather than, hey, having to log in every week or every couple of days. You can go ahead and sit down and say, all right, this 4-hour block, I'm going to schedule for the next 2 months.
I wonder if I use Vista Social. I wonder if Vista Social or Go High Level could schedule it out too.
I know Go High Level has some capacity there. We've just been using Social Pilot for so long. Go High Level is just too buggy. Yeah. And so when there's a bug, I don't want my team to have to go in and connect hundreds and hundreds of social profiles again.
Yeah, makes sense. It'd be very frustrating.
Yeah, so Go High Level is fun.
How about when it comes in terms of content and type of thing that you post on Google My Business Profile? And for those that don't know, just to catch up, like Google My Business Profile, it's basically your Google reviews. So when you Google someone, like you see how many stars and the phone numbers and the pictures and like that top little area, that's your Google My Business Profile. You can get there, business.google.com. Sorry, quick aside.
No worries. Yeah, I like to call it the map pack. It's kind of those 3, and then if there's a sponsored, sometimes there's a 4th up there. What you don't want to do is you don't want to put up stock imagery. So what some companies will do is they'll use Shutterstock images or whatnot, and they'll post them because they don't have enough project photos. Google knows those photos. Obviously, Google knows those photos. They're online elsewhere. So Google's already crawled that photo. So when they see it listed under your business profile, it really hurts you because they see it's a redundant duplicate. Google's very big into, here we go.
So I just shared if anyone wants to look, I just shared it in Best Painter in St. Petersburg, Florida, just to show what the map pack is. So this one has 4.
It's got the 4th one up there. Yeah. So the Google knows the stock images. And so Google really frowns on duplicate content. They very much frown on disingenuous content. And so you want to use really only your own images. For posts, there's a variety of different posts. I like before and afters. Sometimes we'll do tips. So we'll do strategies. We'll do helpful content, right? Like what to think about when painting your home in the summer in Florida. Like what's the best time to paint outside, right? Or 6 questions to ask your painting contractor.
Yeah.
Whatever. So there's all different kinds of content, but in terms of Google, it's just most important to post and keep it original.
So these guys, if you look at the top one, and I think this is how awesome the low-hanging fruit is to do this really, really well. So in St. Petersburg, Florida, which is a big city, the top business that ranks has 274 5-star reviews, which is a lot, but definitely achievable for anyone. Mm-hmm. Second is only 180. And they're barely using anything. Like they're not using the Q&A. Mm-hmm. Yes, they have pictures, but they don't have the Q&A, and all of their updates are like over a year old. They haven't done an update since July 19th, 2024.
When's their most recent review?
Their most recent review. Good question. Let us check. So if we go newest, a week ago. And they're replying to all the reviews too. A week ago,
Yeah.
reply. A week ago, reply. A month ago, reply. 2 months ago, reply. So consistent.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're spread out by a month, because that's once a review is over 3 months old, it becomes weighted much less by Google.
Got it.
So that's
But
another thing. People will go on these review sprees, say, hey, we haven't gotten reviews. Let's do some kind of campaign to get reviews from all our past clients. Okay, cool. We got some reviews. Let's forget about it again until we freak out a year from now and try to get more reviews. And that kind of those spurts are much less preferable to Google than ongoing, because Google wants to view it as naturally as possible. They don't want to look like you're gaming the system. They want to look like they want to see that you're just a solid company delivering solid, consistent results. And so you're consistently getting these reviews, because Google is in a way putting their stamp of approval when they show you on their algorithm, because there are hundreds of companies that could be shown and they're choosing to show you as one of the top 3.
Yep.
So they just
100%.
want to know that it's all about establishing trust with Google.
So I know we said I was going to go to email and SMS, but are you focusing at all on like ChatGPT ranking?
In terms of ranking?
Like getting people ranked and mentioned on ChatGPT. If I said best painter in St. Petersburg, Florida on ChatGPT, I'll get 5 different. I mean, I wonder what I would get actually. Should we try?
Let's
See
try.
how different they are?
Let's do side by side.
Okay, so let me share. I don't think I can do full side by side, but I can go back and forth. Okay, so we got it here. So best painting contractors in St. Petersburg, Florida. So who do we got? I think we remember who. Yeah, pretty much remember who. So 360.
360 was at the top before.
Yeah, and
but these next 2 are different.
Yeah, these next 3 are. I think 3.
I don't think Brother Cut, because we only had 3 that were organic before.
So CertaPro, Sunshine, and 360, and we got. Yeah, so all 3 of these are new. Lime, That One Painter, and Brothers Color are all new.
But go back to the other tab and scroll below, so down past Yelp. Yeah.
That One Painter.
So there's That One
Pro.
Painter.
And this is
Lime is in here.
Petersburg. Petersburg Painting Company.
Huh. That's interesting.
So that one isn't in there.
Yeah, so we see, I guess they're pulling from the Google Business Profile and also pulling from the organic below the Google Business Profile.
Yeah, kind of. But I didn't see lime painting anywhere, so I wonder how they pulled lime.
Yeah, especially with 20 reviews.
Yeah, not even on the first page. I like to ask, how did you decide to recommend lime? Oh, maybe it says it here. Focus on luxury, known for high-end, ideal for upscale homes. High online ratings. Specialize in high-end, clear differentiation. Professional brand presence. Franchise backing with local ownership. Oh, anyway. So
it's interesting that they factor in the franchise backing. I think they have what CertaPro and Lime on there.
Yeah, it does seem 3 of them. That One Painter is.
Oh yeah, 3 of those were franchises.
That One Painter, Lime, 360, 4 of them CertaPro.
Wow, they went heavy on franchises.
Brothers Color. I wonder if Brothers Color is. Oh, but the link is That One Painter.
I think that's a mistake.
Must be.
I think that is a franchise. Let's see. We're way off track here on this podcast.
Way off track. Hopefully this isn't too boring. But I think this is kind of cool just digging into this. So this website is pretty SEO optimized, I would say.
Yeah.
Pretty built out. Careers page.
What locations? Where's it got there?
So
yeah,
Florida,
see that does look like it's at least a multi-office. It might be a small franchise.
At least 3 location. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Well, now we know that ChatGPT prioritizes franchise locations.
Yeah, at least in this instance.
Yeah. So so it's called AEO. there's a lot of, well, what about voice search? What about AI search? The fundamentals still apply. And so when ChatGPT is giving you the answers, they have links, right? When you're searching and Google's giving you the answers with the AI, they have links to the different websites. The way they're getting those links, we just looked at line painting is what line painting is talking about luxury and talking about this, and they have the back end of a franchise. All that stuff's coming from their site.
Yeah.
And so they're essentially going in, and I think the Brother Colors painting there look like a pretty SEO optimized site. So it's using all the same data. And so if you do SEO well and you follow the fundamentals really well, this isn't some brand new thing. And so some marketers are out there saying, SEO is dead. It's all AEO. It's all optimizing totally different ways. It's the same kind of content. It's a slight pivot.
Yeah.
It's not a complete transformation.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Now, when it comes to SMS and email marketing, obviously, we were talking about this before I went online. I think a hugely underutilized form of marketing when it comes to residential contractors. How do you look at email and SMS marketing? I think a lot of people don't want to piss off any homeowners. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, so we offer it to all of our partners, included in our programs 4 times a year. So we do it really strategically based on seasonality. And also when you do email and SMS marketing, you want to create some kind of an offer. And it doesn't have to be a discount. It can be a discount, but it could also be a value add. It's like a free driveway pressure washing with every exterior paint project, or free additional room, or whatever it is. So creating an offer gives you a reason to contact them, right? I think there should be kind of keeping in touch with people at a year anniversary, for example, like, hey, we painted your home a year ago. That should be a phone call. I just want to make sure everything's holding up well, things like that. That's a reason to reach out because it's been a year ago. But the idea of pissing off homeowners would be, hey, just come choose our painting company, buy another project. You bought one before. But if you say, hey, we're having a back to school special, we know you want your home to look good as you bring in the new families, whatever, networking or holiday special or whatever it is. We just want to make you aware of it as a loyal customer of XYZ company. That's really not going to piss off a lot of people. The SMS, you have to be a little bit more careful, but you're going to piss off some people, and that's okay. I piss off people. Mike, I'm sure you piss off people. If nobody's upset at you, then it means nobody knows who you are. And so that's one of the issues we'll see with marketing or with painting companies is they get the first piece of negative feedback. Like, hey, I already know my painting project is scheduled. You don't have to keep telling me. Cool. Well, the other 9 out of 10 people actually appreciated the reminder. So we're not going to worry about the one person who's freaking out. We're going to view the 80-20 and understand that when you market and you communicate with the market, people like to troll. People have anger and issues in their personal lives, and they like to take it out on these hypothetically anonymous companies or people. And so you will get some negative feedback, but you're going to get a lot of projects and a lot of value for your business.
Yeah, we had one client. She was running Facebook ads, and she got one negative comment on her Facebook ads, just like a trolling comment, some swear word or something. And she shut down all of her ads. She's like, no, I can't do it. I can't handle it. I don't want to say, what do you do when you get this? I'm like, girl, if you knew how many hate comments I got in a week.
This is going to sound kind of harsh, but you almost shouldn't run a company, right? Like to run a company, you have to have thick enough skin. And if it's not a troll out in the marketplace, maybe it's one of your team members as you scale, right? Maybe they quit and they have some choice words. And things are going to happen to business owners. You have to have that thick skin if you want to be able to scale.
Yeah. Yeah, that said well. I do agree though, like with SMS, especially broad SMS marketing, you need to be more careful, right? It's like
especially with the laws and everything, you could get into trouble.
Well, I mean, laws for sure. I was thinking more because it's the most, like, I would call it the most intimate form of marketing.
It's pretty intimate.
Yeah. Like email, you don't, hopefully you're not picking up your phone every time you get an email. I would go insane if I did that, but you pick up your phone pretty much every time you get a text. Yeah. And if that pisses you off, I mean, I'm like hanging on to a thread being subscribed to Sherwin.
Yeah. You do need to be, yeah. I mean, and that's where adding the value too, right? If you're texting people over and over again, if you're really calculated, you actually have a real offer. It's not this pretend, 10% off that everyone can see through and it's not anything real. If you have something that people might find valuable and you text them twice a year,
yeah,
you'll probably be okay. You'll get a couple people that will be upset. That's fine.
Yeah. We recommend like 2 different types of like email/SMS campaigns. They usually ran in parallel, like at the same time. And so one would be like some sort of like discount special offer, like we call it like the greatest promotion ever, like make a reason to celebrate, right? Like we're having a back, like
Yeah,
you said,
right.
back to
My
school
dog's
special.
birthday.
Exactly, right. 5-year anniversary in business, something fun to celebrate, and give some sort of discount, like an actual discount. Don't just mark up and discount, but give an actual discount. And the other is a referral / review blitz.
Yeah.
So if you haven't really communicated with, it's a really good way to like warm up your list, do a review blitz for your past clients and even your past estimates. Ask them for a review. Hey, if you had a good experience with our free quote, like give us a review. It'd mean a lot to us. You also, we can enter you in a gift card for giving us a review, not for giving us a 5-star review, but just for giving us a review in general. And you'll get a lot of reviews. We've had people get 100+ reviews in a week.
Yeah,
emailing out to their list.
And you can deliver value too. So people don't want to be sold to. They don't want to feel sold to, and that's where you'll get some of the hostile reactions. But if you create some really extensive guide to your local area about painting tips and tricks or what not to do, whatever, and you just send them a message, say, hey, and have it be valuable. Don't have it be nonsense, but actually put some work and effort into it. Don't have it be a sales piece, have it be a value first piece. And you let people know you have this thing. If you're thinking about painting your home in the next year, it might be worth checking out. People are going to generally respond positively to that. Like we have a realtor in our area, and we were impacted by 2 hurricanes last year. It was kind of a nightmare. We got hit by Helene and Milton, and she created this whole packet and sent. It must have been really expensive. Sent it to just I believe thousands of homes. And it had all the information about who to contact in the city, what grants you might be eligible for, the process, just helping people manage the pure chaos. That stood out in my mind. It had nothing to do with her selling a home, had a little bit of a description of who she is, what she does. And then it was just page after page of helpful content. And it really, like, truly was helpful. It was not some garbage color guy. Like, it added value. If you can find a way to move the needle for people like that, your business will benefit.
100%. That's a great strategy.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Yeah, that's awesome. So yeah. Oh, also, I wanted to mention like a newsletter. Right? I think everyone should be doing a newsletter, really simple, monthly or every like 6 weeks or so, just like a quick email newsletter. Use AI to write most of it, then modify it to fit your own business. But yeah, provide useful content. Creating content nowadays is so easy.
What I like to think about with this stuff is, would you read it? If it weren't your company and you just received it, would you derive value from it? And the answer should be yes. But most, the reason a lot of these emails are disregarded is because the answer is usually no.
Yeah. I think some people are always scared, like, oh, if I teach people how to paint, they're just going to paint the houses themselves.
People can learn how to paint. YouTube exists.
Yeah.
Painting is not a secret to guard.
No. 100%. So we're coming up on the top of the hour here, and you obviously run a business, and I know you've helped a lot of contractors. So I always like to ask this, and I do this for every single guest who comes on with something to sell. What is the best offer that you can give the people who listened all the way to the end as a thank you for testing out or signing up?
You didn't want to preface me for this one. Put me on the spot.
No, I don't prep anyone. I listen to any of the past ones. This is I always do it. It's a shot in the dark.
I like it. I will say this is an aggressive offer for qualified listeners. So if you're a brand new company, if you've never sold a painting project, I'm not going to do it, because as a business owner, you have to value your time. But if you've listened to this point in the podcast, maybe you're a member of Mike's group. Maybe you're doing over $500,000. You have something that I know, that you're running a real company. You have a real aggressive growth goals. I will get on a call with you for an hour and discuss your marketing. I haven't run a sales call for 8 months.
There we go.
That's as aggressive of an offer. And I'm hoping that you don't have that many listeners. We'll see. I have to space it out.
Selling your time is it's the one finite thing in this world, right?
Very finite.
Cool. Appreciate that, Brandon. Send me the link after, and we'll get the qualification link the application link, I guess, in the description, and people can fill it out, apply, make sure they're qualified, and then you can schedule them from there.
Sounds good.
But man, thank you for coming on. That was a good conversation. We made it through a lot of content there.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, dude. And we have been dancing around this, trying to get this organized for a long time. Looking forward to having you on my podcast. If for any listeners who haven't listened to my podcast, it's called the Painter Marketing Mastermind Podcast. You can go to paintermarketingpros.com and find it there. You can also find it on all the major podcast platforms.
Love it. Yeah, this is a spot to talk about that. We're going to do that in a few weeks. And are you going to be in San Antonio this year for the residential repaint?
I will. Yes, I will be at the Espanol one, likely not speaking. And I will be at the residential one. See if I can do something, at least have a booth there, meet people and participate. Yeah, I'm excited to see you, man.
Yeah, it's going to be good to get together again and keep providing value.
All right.
Thanks again for coming on, man. I appreciate all you do for the industry.
Appreciate you, Mike.
Painter Growth Podcast. If you want to grow your painting business, go to www.paintergrowth.com or click on the top link in the description. Talk soon.